Yes, I'm voting for you, but I would also vote for that wall over there rather than a guy who says, where do I begin? A guy who says he doesn't support Ukraine wouldn't get on that stage with you and say, I support Ukraine? This is, and why do my fellow Americans want this kind of chaos overseas? Why?
Howard Stern just dropped a truth bomb on Trump, and it's got him fuming. This isn't some petty celebrity feud. Stern pulled back the curtain on Trump's past, revealing things that even his most loyal supporters might not want to hear. For years, Trump used Stern's radio show as his personal stage, saying whatever popped into his head. No filter, no shame. But now, Stern is exposing what really went on behind the scenes, what Trump said when the microphones were off, the desperate calls, the shocking confessions, and the moments that proved Trump might not be the man he's been selling to the world. What did Trump reveal when he thought no one would remember? What does Stern know that could shake up everything? If you thought you knew Trump, think again. Stick around, because this is just the beginning. The truth is messier than you think, and it's about to get uncomfortable.
Yes, I'm voting for you, but I would also vote for that wall over there rather than a guy who says, where do I begin? A guy who says he doesn't support Ukraine wouldn't get on that stage with you and say, I support Ukraine? This is, and why do my fellow Americans want this kind of chaos overseas? Why?
To your point, doesn't support our friend Ukraine, doesn't support, therefore, something America should always, and has always, by the way, been a champion of, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity, which means the importance of standing against anyone who tries to take another nation by force.
Right.
That's what we stand for as Americans, that you don't do that. And if you do that to our friends, we're going to stand with our friends. You're getting played, and some would say, look, I grew up in the neighborhood. Some would say you're getting punked.
Donald Trump wasn't just a guest on Howard Stern's show. He was practically a regular. Over the years, Trump sat in Stern's studio more than 30 times, treating it like his own personal megaphone. Back then, he wasn't a politician. He was just another rich guy who loved the sound of his own voice. And Stern? He gave Trump the space to talk, no matter how outrageous or inappropriate his words were. Trump wasn't just there for fun. He knew exactly what he was doing. Stern's audience was massive, unfiltered, and most importantly, loyal. Trump saw an opportunity to sell himself, his brand, and later, his political ambitions. He bragged about his money, his women, and his power, saying whatever it took to stay in the headlines. And it worked. His wild interviews made him a media spectacle long before he ran for president. But here's where it gets interesting. Stern says that when Trump finally did run in 2016, he wasn't as confident as he wanted people to believe. According to Stern, Trump called him multiple times, begging for his endorsement. Trump knew the power Stern had, and he wanted that support to seal the deal with voters. But Stern wasn't buying it. He refused to play along, and that rejection, it stung.
Can I tell you a fantasy I had? I don't know if you're going to debate your opponent.
I am somewhere. I don't know when. I'm happy to debate him.
This is how I would handle it. Tell me if I'm nuts. Well, I am nuts, but tell me if this is accurate. I would stand there on stage with Trump, and I would repeat over and over again, excuse me, please find me 11,000 votes so that I can win the election. I would just repeat that over and over again, and then I'd say to the audience, what are we debating? A man picked up the phone and wanted to say, fake the election, give me 11,000 votes. I don't know how any American who loves this country, that's the end of the debate. You don't get to run if you're going to fix an election.
On January 6th, when they were storming the Capitol.
And a police officer died.
Yeah, and he would say nothing. He was sitting in that office that dining area off the Oval Office for 3 hours and said nothing. I was supposed to make a speech on the economy that day. Instead, I made a speech I was in Delaware on that issue. Because I was elected president, but I wasn't sworn in yet. I was derelict. It was almost criminal. He did nothing. He just sat there and watched what was happening. Not a single, and now he wants to he calls them patriots and victims, and says he's going to pardon them all if he's reelected.
Trump went from using Stern's show to boost himself to realizing he couldn't control him. and that's when their relationship started to crack. But what exactly did Trump say on air? That's where things get messy. When Donald Trump had a microphone in front of him, there was no filter, especially on Howard Stern's show. He said things that would make most politicians squirm, but at the time, nobody saw him as a serious political figure. Instead, he was just Trump, the real estate mogul turned reality TV star who treated every interview like a locker room chat. And the things he said, some of them are downright disturbing. One of his favorite topics, rating women. Trump casually scored women on a scale of 1 to 10, objectifying them like trophies. He made crude remarks about celebrities, beauty queens, and even women in his own social circles. It was all a game to him, and Stern played along, letting Trump reveal exactly who he was. But nothing was more shocking than the way Trump spoke about his own daughter, Ivanka. He once told Stern that if she weren't his daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. Let that sink in. He also bragged about how attractive she was, in ways that made people deeply uncomfortable.
This was before he was running for president. He was an open book. He would say anything. And, oddly enough, during the campaign and even now, people quote these interviews that I did with him. Big time. I was quite surprised when they dragged out every single Donald Trump interview I had done. Donald Trump would come on my show, and this is why he was great. There was no filter. I go, Donald, Angelina Jolie, she's one of the most beautiful actresses in the world. She's a 6. He was right into it. Ivanka Trump.
You know who's one of the great beauties of the world, according to everybody, and I helped create her? Ivanka.
Most beautiful girl in the world. I would marry her. These types of things, most people, certainly politicians, don't say. And my relationship with Donald was, he did ask me to speak at the convention. And I had to say no. The guy I knew I didn't know this was him. I don't believe his stance on abortion, for example. The Donald I know, I think he probably needed to get a few people abortions. I don't know what he's doing. The stance on abortion, the women don't have the right to choose what they, you don't have to get an abortion. But if you want the right, I remember the days of women in the back alleys with coat hangers. That's not acceptable. And you know who used to be able to get abortions? Rich people. They could get them. And so, let's face it. It is really unthinkable to me about what's going on in the country right now.
Then there were the beauty pageant scandals. Trump openly admitted to walking into dressing rooms while contestants were changing, using his status as the pageant owner to justify it. He called it inspecting. But everyone else called it what it was, creepy and inappropriate. And let's not forget the conspiracy theories. Trump used Stern's show to push lies, like questioning Obama's birthplace long before it became a political talking point. He wasn't just making jokes, he was laying the groundwork for what would come later. Howard Stern didn't just interview Trump, he watched him play the media like a game. And according to Stern, Trump never actually wanted to be president. That's right, the man who built his campaign on making America great again was, according to Stern, only running for one reason, to get more attention and land a better TV deal.
The oddity in all of this is, the people Trump despises most love him the most. I don't hate Donald. Donald's doing his thing. I hate you for voting for him. The Trump voter who, idolizes the guy. He despises you. I hate you.
Trump had already mastered the art of staying in the headlines. As host of The Apprentice, he saw his name in lights every week. But by 2014, ratings were slipping, and NBC wasn't willing to pay him more. So, what did Trump do? Stern claims he pulled a classic Trump move. He bluffed. He started floating the idea of running for president, knowing it would stir up media coverage. The more press he got, the more valuable he became. It wasn't about politics, it was about business. Here's where it gets ironic. The stunt worked, but not in the way Trump expected. Instead of just boosting his brand, people actually started taking him seriously. His rallies grew. His sound bites went viral. He became a political phenomenon almost by accident. And when the momentum kept building, Trump did what he always does. He leaned into it.
Because I would have Donald Trump on, and I say it in the book, he was maybe one of the best top 5 guests of all time. And when you go there, you're treated like a king. And the President of the United States shouldn't be going to a place called Camp David. He should be in the White House working. He was wild. I thought I was wild. he would come on. He would start assigning numbers to women.
Stern insists Trump never expected to win. And when he did, it was like a reality show that had gone too far. A man who spent his life selling an image suddenly found himself running a country. The question is, was it all just an act? During the 2016 election, Donald Trump wasn't just looking for votes, he was looking for validation. And one of the people he desperately wanted in his corner, Howard Stern. According to Stern, Trump called him multiple times, practically begging for an endorsement. He knew Stern's influence was huge, and if he could get his stamp of approval, it could help sway voters.
Too many to count. So that's what I want to see. I want to see Camp David. I want it liberated. Donald Trump appears 11 times in my book, and it's a fascinating little ride.
But there was one problem. Stern wasn't interested. He had been open about his support for Hillary Clinton and had no intention of backing Trump. He wasn't about to play along just because they had history. Stern saw Trump's campaign for what it was, an act, a media stunt that had spiraled out of control. Trump didn't take rejection well. He's the kind of guy who expects loyalty, especially from people he's known for years. When Stern refused to endorse him, their relationship changed. The friendly interviews, the casual conversations, those days were over. Stern later admitted that he believed Trump considered him a traitor for not playing along. That moment was a turning point. Trump had spent years using Stern's platform to promote himself, but now Stern was speaking out against him. And Trump, he never forgave him.
His daughter was the most attractive woman he ever met, and how much he thought she was hot.
Donald Trump has never handled criticism well. The moment someone crosses him, he goes on the attack, whether it's a political rival, a journalist, or even an old friend. Howard Stern was no exception. After years of using Stern's show as a place to brag, joke, and promote himself, Trump suddenly found himself on the receiving end of Stern's rejection, and he didn't like it one bit. Stern's refusal to endorse him in 2016 wasn't just a political disagreement. It was a personal betrayal in Trump's eyes. Trump thrives on validation, especially from celebrities. He spent his entire life obsessed with fame, surrounding himself with rich and powerful people, desperate to be part of that world. When Stern, one of the most influential media figures, refused to play along, it hit him where it hurt the most: his ego.
Plagued me my entire career.
That's not bad.
Or at the very least, I could see that place they call Camp David. Guy for real? What is he doing?
Like rating them 1 through 10.
1 through 10, I went going home.
But in your mind, a great guest.
No, a great guest because he would say anything that came into his mind. He was completely unfiltered.
But this isn't just about Howard Stern. Trump's entire political career has been built on media attention. From his rallies to his Twitter rants, he feeds off headlines, good or bad. To him, publicity is power. The problem? The moment someone stops playing his game, they go from being his friend to his enemy. And Stern learned that firsthand. Howard Stern pulled back the curtain on Trump, and what we saw wasn't pretty. From the creepy comments to the desperate phone calls, it's clear Trump has always been more about the show than the substance. Stern's refusal to back him in 2016 wasn't just a political choice, it was a wake-up call. Trump wanted the spotlight, the celebrity endorsements, the validation. But when Stern wouldn't play along, the friendship ended. This is the real Trump, obsessed with media attention, fueled by ego, and always looking for the next headline. Whether you support him or not, one thing is certain: his thirst for fame has always come first.
You read about he gets into an argument with the Daily News gossip columnist A.J. Benson. They're fighting over a woman to get NBC to raise up his salary and to keep The Apprentice on.
Well,
and I would bet the farm on that.
When's the last time you spoke to him?
I spoke to. This is such a long saga.
So what do you think? Was Trump's run for president a calculated move or just a publicity stunt that spiraled out of control? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.